Hello and welcome to Chook Chat. In this Chook Chat episode, we're going to show you how we went with the incubation of all our eggs. We had a few hurdles along the way and we'll talk about how we got through some of those. I also want to show you how Reggie's going. So Reggie and his foot seems to be slowly healing. And then I'm going to show you how to make my version of a cooked mayonnaise. We've got lots of eggs at the moment, so this is a great way to use up eggs and have a nice mayonnaise for your summer salads. Thanks. The incubation process was a challenge, I must say. We were met with quite a few problems, with fires around the area, the power out. Having the chickens hatch at different times, I'm not quite sure why that was when they were all set at the one time, but that made it quite tricky too. And we didn't have a great success rate out of all the eggs. We had less than a third hatch, so I'm not quite sure what that was about either, whether the turning or I bumped them on one occasion. But I would welcome your feedback and any ideas about how to succeed in incubation. But for me, I'd probably opt with just using a mother hen in future. Okay, so it's day 18, a final stage of incubation. The chicks will hatch in 3 days now. So there's an important couple of things we need to do. We need to stop the eggs rotating. So I'm going to lift them from this rotating machine. Get rid of that. We also have to increase the humidity, which I'll do through these settings here in a moment. The humidity was sitting on 45 and now we're going to increase it to 65, which just allows the chickens to hatch more easily. And we're also going to lift that for a second, remove the little dividers here to give the chickens room to move around when they hatch. We had a little accident the other day, lost a few eggs. I hit the cord and lost a few eggs, unfortunately, and this one had a little dent, so put a little bit of nail polish on that and I'm hoping it's going to be okay. Yeah, so back on with that and see you in a few days. On day 19 of incubation, we had fires come very close to our home here and lost power for all afternoon and well into the evening. So what a dilemma with the incubator and all the eggs. I managed to, luckily had 2 chickens that were broody. So I divided the eggs up and popped them under the 2 of those chooks and left them there for the night because it turned out to be quite a cold night. Yeah, that was one of the bumps. Okay, the following day, on day 20, because the broody hens were not in a good place to hatch chicks, I removed the eggs again, returned them to the incubator, and the plan was to, once the chicks hatched, move one of the hens into a good spot and tuck the new chickies under the broody mother, feisty mum. This is Feisty Mama. She has hatched about 8 clutches of chickens over the years. She's a wonderful mum, so she took really easily to having me pop these new chicks underneath her. Apart from one that was yellow and had a black dot on its head, she immediately spotted it wasn't one of her own and started to peck on her. So I had to remove that chick and take another chick to keep it company and hand care for those two. So she's a great mama. From day 2, the chicks are going to be looking for some feed and water. I use this chick starter crumble, which according to the analysis has quite a high protein content, about 20%. It also has 3 various strains of good bacteria and probiotics. And most importantly, it has a coccidiostat that's from oregano called Regano, which is a natural herbal coccidiostat, because coccidiosis is a terrible problem in young chicks and they need something to resist that when they're young. So that's what I recommend. And then slowly introducing more different foods, a bit of milk kefir, some fermented grain, some chopped up leaf, and slowly developing their broader appetite. Sir Reggie and his foot, just for a little update, he seems to be managing quite well. It's still a problem, but he's kind of worked out this quite elegant walk where he kind of puts his feet down and splays them out as he walks along. So I took him to the vet and there was nothing more we could find. So I guess we're just hoping that over time it'll just continue to heal, which it seems to be. Here's my version of cooked mayonnaise. Firstly, we need 8 eggs. I'm going to crack these and pop them into the pan, saucepan, with this lovely spotty egg. Voila. Okay, the nice thing about this is that we throw all the ingredients in together. There's no kind of timing or placing So we've got 2 tablespoons of icing sugar, but to taste, of course, depending on how sweet you like it. We have 2 teaspoons of salt, 60 grams of butter, not margarine, 6 teaspoons of dry mustard, powdered mustard, a cup and a half of a combination of milk and cream. I use half-half, but you could use all milk if you prefer. Pop that in there. And 3/4 cup of white vinegar. So all of that in together. Then you're going to take it to a medium heat and just start whisking. Break up those yolks. So you're going to keep the heat on medium to 3/4 until everything's melted, and keep whisking quite briskly. And when it starts to thicken, that's when you want to turn the heat back and keep that whisking going until it thickens, and there you have it. So whisk away. It's important not to let it boil. That's critical. Okay, so it's just off the boil, and you know when it's cooked because it will thicken a little bit in the jar. When you stop stirring, you see it kind of spins back a bit on itself. Do that again. So stir, stir, stir. And then when you stop, it just pulls back. So that's really ready. You could go a bit longer if you wanted a bit thicker, but I think that's great. Voila. I'm going to pop it into a jug just to make it easier to tip it slowly into a few jars. I like to use a few so as you can keep them sealed. So a little bit in each just to warm the jar. These jars need to be sterilised, which they are. One, two, three, and a little bit for dinner. Seal them up, and that'll vacuum seal like with the heat anyway. So there we go, cooked mayonnaise. Great. Don't forget to make good use of these shells and feed them back to your chooks. In our next Chook chat, we're going to talk a little bit more about eggshells and what they can tell you about the health of your chook. We're going to also talk about how a shell builds itself around the egg. That's all for Chook Chat. If you'd like to order Super Mash, you can do that online at naturalchickenhealth.com.au or check out our Facebook page. See you next time.